While listening to the Chicago autumn wind beating against the hospital windows, Rachel Harris finished her last rounds of the night shift. She had been working as a nurse at St. Mary's General Hospital for 7 years. Dragging her tired body back to the nurse's station, she found a message from her fiancé Michael on her cell phone. "Good job today. I'll be late working on blueprint revisions. Go ahead and sleep." Rachel let out a small sigh. Her relationship with Michael Turner had lasted 3 years. He worked as an architect at a local design firm and had proposed to her a year ago. While envisioning a future with this serious and sincere man, lately their busy work schedules had made it difficult to find time together. On her 20-minute drive home from the hospital to her apartment, Rachel thought about her sister Amy. Amy was a hairstylist working at a high-end salon downtown. She had been beautiful and sociable since childhood, beloved by everyone. Their mother Carol especially doted on Amy. Carol had been a housewife raising her 2 daughters since losing her husband 10 years ago. However, Rachel's relationship with her mother was complicated. From childhood, her mother had clearly favored Amy. When Amy got bad grades, she would laugh and say, "You're beautiful, so you'll be fine," but when Rachel made the same mistakes, she would be sternly scolded with, "You're the older sister, so you need to be responsible." Even when Rachel was elected student body president in high school, her mother's reaction was lukewarm. On the other hand, when Amy was chosen as prom queen, her mother bragged to the entire neighborhood. During college applications, the celebration for Rachel's acceptance to nursing school was modest, but when Amy entered beauty school, they threw a lavish party. In all of this, Rachel's only salvation was her grandmother Dorothy. She lived alone in a small house in the suburbs. The former elementary school teacher was always fair and loved Rachel and Amy equally. Whenever Rachel was struggling, she would always run to her grandmother's house. Her grandmother would brew warm tea and listen quietly. "You're a kind and strong child. You've chosen a job helping people, and that's truly admirable." Her grandmother's words always supported Rachel's heart. They were words she had never once heard from her mother. When she arrived at her apartment, Michael hadn't come home yet. Rachel ate a simple dinner alone and sat on the sofa looking at her phone. In the family group chat, she could see Amy posting photos of her new hairstyle with their mother praising her with emojis. Rachel closed the screen without commenting. The next day was her day off. Rachel decided to visit her grandmother after a long time. Michael was working today too, apologizing that a big project deadline is approaching. While driving alone, Rachel thought about the recent distance she felt from her family. Her mother and Amy seemed to talk on the phone several times a week, but Rachel received contact maybe once a month at most. Family gatherings had also become less frequent recently, and she often wasn't invited. Perhaps because she had repeatedly declined due to work being busy, she had gradually stopped being invited. Still, only her grandmother consistently welcomed Rachel. When she found her grandmother tending to the flower beds in her small garden, Rachel's heart felt light. Today too, she planned to spend a quiet afternoon with her grandmother, drinking warm tea and talking slowly. The sense of distance from her family began with their mother Carol's birthday. Rachel had been preparing for a week. She ordered a bouquet of roses that her mother loved and chose a high-quality silk scarf at an upscale department store. Between work, she also prepared a handmade birthday card. However, on the morning of the birthday, Rachel noticed something strange. When she opened Instagram, Amy had posted photos with their mother. A beautifully decorated cake was placed on the restaurant table, and their mother wore a beaming smile. The post was captioned, "Mom's birthday surprise success." Rachel hurriedly called her mother. "Mom, happy birthday. Let's celebrate today." Her mother's voice sounded somewhat confused. "Oh, Rachel. Thank you. But I already celebrated with Amy." "You're busy, aren't you?" "But I want to celebrate too. I've prepared a present." "I see. But I'm already tired today. Next time would be fine." After hanging up, Rachel was struck by a sense of emptiness. Her mother hadn't informed her about the birthday plans in advance. It was as if she hadn't expected Rachel's participation from the beginning. A month later came Amy's promotion celebration. Rachel happened to find photos of her mother and Amy dining at a restaurant on Facebook. The post read, "Celebrating Amy's promotion. She became a store manager." Rachel was surprised and immediately sent Amy a congratulatory message. "Congratulations on your promotion. When shall we celebrate?" Amy's reply came hours later. "Thanks, sis. But I already celebrated with Mom, so it's okay." "You're busy, right?" The same words. Rachel felt something cold in the depths of her chest. In November, as autumn deepened, Thanksgiving season arrived. Rachel looked forward to spending time with her family as usual. Michael was also planning to join. However, a week before Thanksgiving, her mother called. "Rachel, about this year's Thanksgiving, you're busy with your hospital work, aren't you? You don't need to push yourself." "No, I've taken time off this year. Michael says he wants to come too." She could sense slight agitation in her mother's voice. "I see. But I'm thinking of having a small gathering this year. I'm sorry about you too." "A small gathering? Just Amy and me. You're a young couple, so it would be more fun for you to spend it together, wouldn't it?" Rachel was speechless. Spending Thanksgiving as a family was a long-standing Harris family tradition. Even after their father died, the three of them had quietly spent it together. She never thought she would be excluded. "Mom, did I do something wrong?" "Of course not. It's just that you're busy, and we're getting older, so we want to spend it quietly." After hanging up, Rachel explained the situation to Michael. Michael looked confused. "That's strange. Your mother has always valued family gatherings." "Yes. But maybe I'm in the way lately." "That can't be true. There must be some reason." However, in Rachel's heart, anxiety was turning into certainty. Christmas in December made that certainty definitive. Every year, the Harris family had a tradition of exchanging presents on Christmas Eve. Rachel prepared heartfelt gifts for both her mother and Amy. However, when she arrived at her mother's house, only Amy's and her mother's presents were placed under the tree. When Rachel presented the gifts she had brought, her mother and Amy were clearly flustered. "Oh, Rachel. I'm sorry, I was thinking we wouldn't do gift exchange this year," her mother said. But presents were already placed under the tree. Clearly, only Rachel's gift hadn't been prepared. "It's okay, Mom. I don't mind," Rachel smiled, but her heart was frozen. Amy awkwardly averted her gaze. "Sorry, sis. I'll buy you a proper present next time. It's really okay. I'm happy just being able to give you both presents." That night, Rachel returned to her apartment alone. Michael had gone home to his family. In the quiet room, she tried to sort out her situation. One day in January, Rachel discovered a decisive fact. While checking her phone settings, she noticed she had been removed from the family group chat. Previously, all three of them had been in a group chat called Harris Family, but she had been excluded from that group at some point. When she tried searching for new group chats, she found one named Mom and Amy. Rachel wasn't invited. That night, Rachel called her grandmother Dorothy. "Grandma, have you talked to Mom or Amy lately?" "Yes, Amy stopped by last week. She seemed very busy but looked well." "How about Mom?" "Carol is fine too. She was worried about you. She said you've been so busy lately that she can't get in touch with you." Rachel smiled bitterly. The reason they couldn't get in touch was that they weren't contacting her. "Grandma, I feel like I'm being distanced from my family lately." Dorothy paused before answering. "I don't think that's the case, but if you feel that way, it's important to talk directly. Families sometimes have misunderstandings and miscommunications." "You're right. I'll make time to talk next time." However, deep in her heart, Rachel knew this wasn't just a misunderstanding. Something had changed. And she still didn't know what had caused that change. On Valentine's Day evening in February, after enjoying dinner with Michael, Rachel was thinking about her situation. While it was painful to accept the reality of being alienated from her family, she also realized she had people who loved her. Her relationship with Michael, her colleagues at work, and above all, her grandmother Dorothy's presence supported her. On a warm Sunday afternoon in March, Rachel visited her grandmother Dorothy's house after a long time. Michael was busy with the final stages of a big project and had gone to work saying, "Let's go together next time." Rachel drove alone to her grandmother's small house in the quiet suburban residential area. Dorothy was planting tulip bulbs in the garden. When she spotted Rachel, she took off her muddy gloves and waved brightly. "Rachel. It's been a while. How have you been?" "Hi, Grandma. Shall I help you?" "It's okay. Go inside and prepare tea. I'll finish up soon." Rachel went to the kitchen with familiarity and brewed Earl Grey, her grandmother's favorite. She placed flowered teacups and saucers on a tray and added homemade cookies. When her grandmother came into the living room, they sat facing each other at the small table by the window. "Have you seen Mom or Amy lately?" Rachel asked after taking a sip of tea. "Amy stopped by last week. She seemed very busy but happy," Dorothy said with a smile. "She's become quite beautiful lately. I wonder if she's in love." Rachel smiled wryly. She hadn't heard about Amy having a boyfriend. Maybe she was being left out again. Speaking of which, Dorothy suddenly clapped her hands as if remembering something. "Amy's wedding is next week." Rachel's hand stopped. Still holding her teacup, she stared at her grandmother's face. "What? Amy's wedding. Are the preparations going well? It must be difficult since you're so busy." Rachel's heart began beating violently. "Grandma, Amy is getting married?" Dorothy's expression changed to confusion. "Oh, didn't you know? I thought you naturally knew about it. When was it decided? Who is she marrying?" "I heard it was decided last month. Carol was bragging about what a wonderful man he is. An architect, I think." Rachel's blood drained from her face. An architect. Michael was also an architect. But that was probably a coincidence. Chicago had many architects. "What's his name?" Rachel's voice was trembling. "I think it was Michael something." "Turner?" The teacup clinked against the saucer. Rachel's hand was shaking. "Michael Turner?" "Yes, that's it. Carol showed me a photo saying he was very handsome." Rachel stood up. She felt as if the room was spinning. This must be a dream. It had to be a nightmare. "Rachel, you look pale. Are you okay?" Dorothy stood up worriedly. "Grandma, I have an urgent matter. I have to go home." "But you've only had half your tea." "I'm sorry." Rachel hurriedly grabbed her phone and bag. "I'll visit again another time." Jumping into her car, Rachel dialed her mother's number with trembling fingers. After 3 rings, her mother answered. "Rachel? What's wrong, so suddenly?" "Mom, is it true that Amy is getting married?" There was a long silence on the other end. "That's none of your business." Her mother's voice was cold. "None of my business? I'm her sister. How could my sister's marriage be none of my business?" "Don't come." "What?" "Don't come to the wedding. You're not invited." Rachel sat alone in her car, hearing words she couldn't believe. "Why? Why aren't you inviting me?" "There's no reason. I just don't want you to come." "Who is the groom?" Rachel's voice was trembling. There was silence again. Then her mother said coldly, "You're Michael." The phone was hung up. Rachel stared at her phone, unable to accept reality. Her own fiancé was marrying her own sister. And her mother was hiding it and not inviting her to the ceremony. Before she knew it, tears were streaming down her cheeks. But along with the tears, anger was also welling up. How long had the man she had dated for 3 years and been engaged to for a year been involved with her sister? How long had her mother known about it? Rachel immediately called Michael, but the phone went to voicemail. "I'm at work. I'll call you back later," the message played. Work. Was he really working? When she got home, Rachel waited for Michael's return. At 7 o'clock in the evening, he opened the door and came in as usual. "Good work today. You went to your grandmother's house today, right? How was it?" Michael smiled as if nothing had happened. Rachel looked at his face. She had loved this man for 3 years. She had promised to marry him and believed they would build a future together. "Michael, is it true you're marrying Amy?" Michael's expression changed instantly. His smile disappeared and his face turned pale. "Rachel, Is it true?" Michael silently sat down on the sofa. That was his answer. "Since when?" Rachel's voice was quiet, but that quietness was terrifyingly calm. 6 months ago, Michael covered his face. "But at first it was nothing. It's just that you were busy with work, and Amy was there to talk to." "Talk?" "About my relationship with you. Lately, I felt like things weren't going well between us, so I consulted Amy." Then you fell in love with my sister?" Michael didn't answer. "What about the engagement ring? What happens to our engagement?" "Rachel, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But being with Amy, I never thought I could be this happy." Rachel stood up. "Get out. Get out right now." Michael hurriedly packed his things and left the apartment. Left alone, Rachel sat down on the sofa. But no tears came. Instead, quiet anger burned deep in her heart. The next day, Rachel began researching wedding venues on the internet. She found out that the ceremony would be held the following Saturday at a small church in Chicago. It seemed to be a small ceremony with only family members attending. Rachel made a decision. She needed to see the truth with her own eyes. She had to witness this secretly held wedding herself. On that Saturday morning, Rachel put on a black dress and headed to the church. The ceremony was scheduled to start at 2 p.m. She parked her car behind the church and quietly sat in a back pew. At 2 p.m., organ music played. And Rachel saw with her own eyes, her sister Amy in a white wedding dress taking Michael's arm and walking toward the altar. The only attendees were their mother Carol and 2 aunts, a lonely wedding. But Rachel remained calm. She took out her phone and quietly began recording. She needed to document this entire event. While sitting in the back pew of the church, Rachel calmly operated her phone's camera. When the pastor asked, "Do you, Amy, take Michael Turner to be your husband, to love and cherish, in sickness and in health?" Amy smiled and answered, "I do." To Rachel's ears, that voice sounded hollow. In the attendee section sat their mother Carol and aunts Patricia and Margaret. It was a lonely wedding with only 3 people. Rachel thought ironically that a wedding that should normally be bustling with relatives and friends had become so small-scale, probably because of their guilt. "We will now exchange rings," the pastor's voice echoed. The moment Michael placed the ring on Amy's finger, Rachel's camera captured that scene perfectly. A year ago, the same man had put a similar ring on her finger, and now he was doing it for her sister. "You may kiss the bride." Rachel calmly recorded the moment Michael and Amy's lips met. Though anger was swirling in her heart, her expression remained serene. She was focused on gathering evidence. When the ceremony ended, the bride and groom and attendees began taking commemorative photos in front of the church. Rachel left her seat and went around to the side of the church to film from another angle. She needed to record every moment. After the photo session, the five of them seemed to be heading to a nearby restaurant. Rachel followed in her car. In front of the upscale restaurant, the Palmer House, they got out of their cars. She was also able to film them toasting at a window seat in the restaurant. Around 4 p.m., when they came out of the restaurant, Rachel decided to take action. After checking the video she had recorded on her phone and confirming it was clear, she slowly approached them. "Congratulations, Amy." All five turned around. Amy's face turned pale, Michael stepped back, and their mother Carol was clearly agitated. "Rachel. Why are you here?" Amy's voice was trembling. "I wanted to attend my sister's wedding. But since I wasn't invited, I came secretly." Rachel's voice was calm, but that calmness was eerily unsettling. Michael spoke up. "Rachel, let me explain." "Explain? What are you going to explain, Michael? That you had an affair with my sister for 6 months while being my fiancé? Or that you betrayed me and married my sister?" Passers-by began turning around. Their mother Carol said frantically, "Rachel, this is a public place. Let's talk at home." "No. There's no need to hide anymore, is there?" Rachel took out her phone. "Actually, I recorded the entire ceremony. It was a wonderful wedding." "Recorded?" Amy's voice cracked. "Yes. The part where you two exchanged vows, the kiss, everything. It was very touching." Michael stepped forward. "Rachel, please delete that video." "Why? Is there something that would be embarrassing if it were made public?" Aunt Patricia said with a confused expression. "Rachel, what on earth is happening? Amy's groom was your fiancé?" "That's right, Aunt Patricia. Michael is the man who dated me for 3 years and proposed a year ago. But he's been involved with my sister for 6 months. And today they secretly got married." Aunt Margaret looked at their mother Carol. "Carol, is this true?" Their mother couldn't answer. Rachel began operating her phone. "Since we're here, let's let everyone see this wonderful wedding. What are you planning to do?" Amy asked, turning pale. "I'm posting it on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. With the title, 'Touching Ceremony Where Sister Steals Sister's Fiancé and Gets Married.'" "Stop it!" Amy screamed. But Rachel's finger was already tapping the screen. "Posted. And I'll send it to Michael's workplace colleagues too. I'm sure the people at your architecture firm will find it very interesting." Michael's face turned completely pale. "Rachel, work isn't related to this." "Not related? Would a company want to continue employing a man who betrays his fiancé in a profession that requires integrity?" Rachel continued operating her phone. "I should also inform Amy's beauty salon customers. You can become famous as the hairstylist who steals people's fiancés." "Please, stop," Amy began crying. "Don't cry, Amy. This is the marriage you wanted, isn't it? You should be proud." Their mother Carol finally spoke. "Rachel, enough. I'll tell you everything, so please delete the video. Now. You've all been deceiving me for 6 months. Not being invited to my birthday, being excluded from Thanksgiving, being removed from the group chat, it was all to hide this secret, wasn't it?" "Yes," their mother admitted. "But we didn't want to hurt you." "Didn't want to hurt me?" Rachel laughed. "So you stole my fiancé and excluded me from the family? That was your way of not hurting me?" Rachel's phone began ringing. Comments and notifications from people who had seen the posts were coming in one after another. "Oh, there are already reactions," Rachel said while looking at the screen. "There's a comment from Michael's colleague Brian. He wrote, 'I can't believe it. I had no idea he was this kind of man.'" Michael said in a trembling voice, "Rachel, please. If I lose my job, Amy and I won't be able to." "Don't worry. Even if Amy can't work at the beauty salon anymore, you two can start a new life together, right? Messages were also coming from Amy's beauty salon colleagues. The customers are all talking. Are you okay? Amy, there's a message from the beauty salon. It seems like it's already become a topic of conversation. Even passersby were starting to point at these 5 people while looking at their phones. The power of social media was tremendous, and it was already becoming a topic in the local community. Rachel, please, their mother pleaded. Mom, I just told the truth. There was no need to secretly get married, was there? You should have announced it proudly. Rachel also sent the video to the relatives group chat. There's also contact from cousin David. He wrote, "What a terrible story. Are you okay?" Finally, Rachel sent the video to local information sites as well. Let's let the community know too. As the couple who stole someone's fiancé and secretly married, and the mother who covered it up. The 3 were completely cornered. Under the gaze of passersby and with phone notifications constantly ringing, they could no longer hide. This is the end, Rachel smiled peacefully. It was a lovely wedding. Be happy. With those words, Rachel began walking toward her car. She could hear the aunt's confused voices and Amy's crying behind her, but she didn't look back. 3 days later, Rachel's phone had hundreds of encouraging messages from friends, colleagues, and relatives. Meanwhile, the social standing of Michael, Amy, and their mother Carol rapidly deteriorated. At Michael's architecture firm, the loss of client trust became a serious problem. Voices saying, "We can't trust important building designs to a dishonest architect," came one after another, and a week later he was transferred to a small branch office in the suburbs in what amounted to a demotion. His salary was also significantly reduced. Amy's beauty salon was also hit hard. Many regular customers left saying they didn't want to trust their hair to someone who steals her sister's fiancé. The salon owner was confused and had to drastically reduce Amy's shifts. Her income dropped to 1/3. Their mother Carol completely lost her standing in the neighborhood. At the women's club she had participated in for years, she was gossiped about as the mother who condoned her daughter stealing her other daughter's fiancé, and eventually had to quit. Even while shopping at the grocery store, the stares from people around her were painful, and going out became burdensome. 2 months later, Rachel visited her grandmother Dorothy's house. The tulips Dorothy had planted were blooming beautifully in the garden. "Rachel, you look well," Dorothy welcomed her warmly. As always, the two drank tea in the living room and talked. "I heard about Amy and Michael," Dorothy said quietly. "I hear those two are already talking about divorce." Rachel was surprised. "Really? They probably couldn't bear the public attention. Being seen as those two wherever they go must be painful." Indeed, Michael and Amy's married life was falling apart. In the midst of economic hardship and social isolation, their relationship rapidly deteriorated. Difficulties overcame love, and 3 months later they began formal divorce proceedings. Meanwhile, Rachel's life was heading in a new direction. Her colleagues at work were sympathetic to her situation, encouraging her with words like "you endured well" and "you're a strong woman." In this context, she met David Johnson, a newly assigned emergency room doctor. David was an honest doctor who had a good reputation at his previous hospital. When he learned about Rachel's situation, he said, "Because you've been hurt in the past, you've become a kind person who understands others' pain." Through work, they gradually became closer, and 6 months later they began dating. One Sunday afternoon, Rachel visited her grandmother's house with David. Dorothy really liked David, saying, "This man has trustworthy eyes." While drinking tea in the garden, Dorothy said, "A real family isn't just about blood relations. Relationships where people cherish each other, support each other, and have no secrets, that's what family is." Rachel nodded deeply at her grandmother's words while holding David's hand. What she had lost in her relationships with Michael, Amy, and her mother was significant, but through that she had learned what was truly important. Do you regret recording the video at that time? David asked. No, Rachel answered calmly. Continuing to hide the truth would have hurt more people. I was just protecting myself. Afterward, Michael and Amy moved to different cities. Their mother Carol lives quietly alone. There were apologies from all three, but Rachel didn't respond. Time alone wouldn't be enough to repair broken trust. A year later, Rachel and David got engaged. This time it was a transparent relationship with no secrets. Only grandmother Dorothy, workplace colleagues, and people who truly loved Rachel were invited to the wedding. During the ceremony, Rachel thought, true happiness isn't something you obtain by deceiving or hiding from someone. It's something you can only get by living honestly and with integrity. As grandmother Dorothy said, a real family isn't about blood relations but about connections of the heart. Rachel had begun walking proudly into her new life.